Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Players Championship Show, day two of a two-day tourney. A lot of big money is on the line. 253 handicappers are going for their share of the prize pool of over $451,000. My name is Bill Downs, and I'm joined by tournament expert Chris Larmey. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a blast. It's been a great weekend, and it's already been exciting on day two of the contest, and I'm really looking forward to these last three races, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. We got three races to go, and we had a lead change in the last race at Santa Anita. Riley Drexler used the 9-horse Lunatic, who finished second, but he was right behind Stephen Meyer and had enough money to pass him, and Riley Drexler has the lead with three races to go. Michael Salakis used Sweet Madam Blue as an upset winner at 13-1, one of the biggest price plays of the day so far, and catapulted from the mid-teens up into third. So, $7 is not that much. Yeah, you want to have the lead, of course, but it's not an insurmountable lead by any means. And you can see that Riley's only got one selection remaining, and we've got three races to go. Steven's got two, and Michael I think it might be the favorite, if you will, because of the fact that he's got a horse to pick in all three of our remaining contest races.
Exactly. Just to remind the listeners, this is a contest format where the players don't have to play every race. There's 30 races for day two, and they only have 15 selections. So, race selection and having some bullets in the chamber at the end is really important. And Michael has managed to put himself very close to the top of the leaderboard and still has a play in all three races. So I agree with you. That's a tactical edge. But I think he'd still rather be in first place. He might give up a pick, right, or two, if he could be in the lead. So I think all three of those guys at the top have a really good chance to win. And it's going to come down to which races they choose to play, which horses they choose to play, and, lady luck.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of dictated by who wins, these last few races. The eighth race, we'll talk about in just a second, has a couple of legitimate favorites. So Riley will be rooting for one of those two horses to win, while the rest of the field, the Michael Salakises, the Brett Wieners of the world, got horses to pick in each of the remaining three races. They'll be taking shots. I know Brett likes to play long shots, if I do remember my always hearing about him and his long shots. So I'm be interested to see what he comes up with on this upcoming eighth race. But let's get into it a little bit. In this eighth race, it's this John Shear Mile. And you can scratch the one-horse Defunded. And the favorite in the race is going to be the 4-horse Royal Ship. First start of the year, Chris, and ran the Pacific Classic, went off, I think, as the second choice in that race. Didn't run very well. Has been off since then. Mike Smith returns once again for Richard Mandela. This horse won the Californian, was second in the Gold Cup at Santa Anita in late May of last year, and looks like a starting point for bigger and better things. Do you think a mile's too short for him? Or do you think, and also, do you think this race is a prep? He's 7-5 on the board.
Well, I think you hit on a key point. This is like a $75,000 listed stakes, and this is a graded stakes winner. So this is not a target race. I think this is just to get him back into action. Certainly they'd like to win, but he's not, and given the trainer, Richard Mandela, this horse is not going to be 100% cranked up for an effort in here. So I think that makes him a little more vulnerable than his price would suggest. And from a contest standpoint, that's kind of ideal because, you've got probably inflated prices and on all the other horses. And if you like one of those, you're going to get, paid for your opinion if it comes in.
Royal Ship will probably be the favorite in here, even money. And then the battle for the second choice is probably between the 2-horse Triple Tap and the 6 Restrained Vengeance. Triple Tap, previously trained by Baffert, now in the barn of Sean McCarthy, went off as a gigantic favorite. Watch that race back, Chris. And I didn't really come up with too much of an excuse for him. They're putting the blinkers on for the first time. And he seems to always get a lot of support. He's been disappointing in the last couple of races, albeit one was the Malibu Stakes. But last time out, went off at like 1-5, 1-9, whatever the heck he went off at, and he just ran kind of a very ordinary third, beating the length.
Yeah, he's always had buzz, always gets played, and tends to disappoint. And he's never been around 2 turns, and there's nothing really to suggest that it's going to improve on 2 turns, other than he is a half to American Pharoah, which is probably the reason why he's been overhyped. He really hasn't run to that breeding. So to me, he's a big underlay, even as a second choice in here. That's not the way I would go, either betting or in a contest. I think he's one you want to fade and look for someone else at a little better price and a little less hype.
The one horse that is probably the most logical of the favorites, and probably my pick when it's all said and done, the 6-horse Restrained Vengeance. Won a race at Albuquerque in New Mexico, and then last time out, when the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, got off to a horrible start. It was his own fault, but finished third in the race, and no one was catching Life is Good that day. Life is Good was freaky good. On November 6th in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and just like Royal Ship, making his first start of the year.
Yeah, and you got to love this horse. I mean, he's just a hard knocker. He always runs his race. He runs on scent, dirt, turf. He goes for a low-profile barn. I thank you for that term. I'm going to use that over and over again. So it doesn't typically attract money, but that third place finish in the Breeders' Cup Mile, he's going to get played. He's another one that's been off since, and you got to think this barn's not great off the bench. And if you look at his past performances, typically he needs a race to hit his top stride. So again, with that lack of recency and the price, I'd be tempted to try to get past him as well in here as in terms of a contest play.
Right. So, Chris, you seem to like this race because you have question marks about all the 3 favorites. And if you have question marks about all 3 favorites, it's a contest race that you probably should be playing. So who's your top pick in this spot?
Well, I'm always biased towards the horses that have upside and look like they're primed for a lifetime kind of career best effort. And
okay.
For me, the 5-horse Affable sort of checks those boxes. He's not, he hasn't run fast enough to beat these horses, but he comes in, he comes in second off a layoff. So he's got that race under his belt. He's a 4-year-old with upside, and I think he's going to run the best race of his life. Now, it may or may not be good enough to win, but he sports a really nice workout since then. He's proven around 2 turns. He's got, the recency. If you look at all these other horses, either they're in bad form, they haven't run in a while, or they haven't proven themselves at the distance. So to me, he's sort of the logical price play. I think he's going to run his race. I think he'll be forwardly placed. He'll be probably the horse tracking the 7-horse Lambeau, who we haven't talked about yet, looks like the obvious pace setter. And, he might be able to, catch that one and then get first run and hold off the closers at a price. So for me, he's kind of a good contest play, the 5 Affable.
Yeah, I like this win. He had an outside post in that win on March 19th. He had to be used for position and then held his position, outdueled the early pace setter, and got a nice win. Since you mentioned Lambeau, and I am a Green Bay Packer fan, let's talk about Lambeau for trainer John Sheriffs. Last 3 races, a third, a 7th, and a 5th, but they were all on turf. So I think the turf to dirt angle is the key. And, he really has one way of getting to the front end. Affable's shown some speed, and I think Triple Tap, especially with the inside post, with the blinkers on as well, coming out of sprint races. I don't know if Lambeau's going to get a clear lead, but what were your thoughts on Lambeau?
Yeah, I think he will get the lead, but like you said, Triple Tap, blinkers on the rail. I think he'll put some pressure on him at some point. Maybe not right at the start, but probably he's not going to get, a clear lead for long if he does clear early. And then Affable, I think, can make a run at him at some point as well. So I would have a hard time playing him. unless the track, is really carrying speed. From what I've seen today, I wouldn't say it's been extreme speed bias. So I don't see him winning this race unless they all just take back, which doesn't seem likely. And, he just really gallops kind of in an effortlessly up on and down the backside and turning for home. So I'm not too high on Lambeau,
Before we
and
talk,
I'm not a Packer fan, so maybe that's why
well,
I
I'm
say.
a green. I'm a season ticket holder, so
Oh,
you're talking to somebody who's been going to games since he was about I can't put how small I was, but I've been going since I was like 7 years old to Packer games. So you're talking to a diehard fan.
so are you? Do you go back far enough to be like Bart Starr
No,
type?
not that far.
Okay,
Not
okay,
that old.
all right,
I go back. Let's see, Lynn Dickey days.
okay.
Yeah, James Lofton. That's about as far back as I go. James Lofton days. How's that?
Yeah,
Uh,
because they were, a powerhouse at one time, a long time
oh, the
ago.
'60s.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
late father said he never bought a drink in the decade of the '60s because he was the only Packer fan like in Chicagoland, and everyone would gamble. He'd tell all his friends to bet on the Packers, and they always seemed to cover. And so he was like always everyone's friend for being the Packer fan. But a couple more horses to go, and then we'll talk strategy. We got a couple minutes to race 8. Shooters shoot the 3, and Extra Hope the 8. The 8's the first time gelding, which can change things around. It's ironic that they wait to the year being a 6-year-old to geld Extra Hope. But those two horses, I didn't really like either one, but always those first time geldings always is something I circle in my past performances.
Yeah, shooters shoot. He doesn't seem to be. He seems more like a sprinter. So I just don't think he's as good around 2 turns. Um, so that's the knock on him. But he's not a bad horse. I just think the distance doesn't fit him. Extra Hope's been in pretty bad form, but like you said, that gelding him could make a difference. He's always been another one that kind of had a little buzz early on in his career. He has a good workout since he's been gelded. So maybe that one I could see someone taking a shot with, as a possibility in here, as an alternative to the favorites. Although, I would prefer Affable, but Extra Hope I could kind of see. He's run some races that could win in here in the past. He's been in bad form, but that gelded change is a big equipment change, as they say, and that recent workout is a good sign. So who knows? Maybe that one could turn it around.
Well, let's talk strategy here. Riley Drexler only's got one selection remaining. We got 3 races to go. I don't see him playing anything in this race unless he just loves something, a long shot or something, because he'd
Yeah.
be out of picks and then he'd be too. I don't want to say he'd be too big of a target, but I guess that would be the case. So I don't see him playing. Stephen Meyer has got 2 picks remaining. I don't know what he'll do. Salakis he can do anything he wants to. He could play, anybody he wants, and if he plays the favorite, he wouldn't get into the lead, but he could jump Stephen Meyer. But after that, it's probably going to see a lot of long shot picks with the rest of the players.
Yeah, I think Riley's got to sit and just hope the next 2 races chalk out and wait for the last race. And I think Michael and Steven, this is a chance to move up. So if they really like one of the horses in here, they should play it. Even Royal Ship for Steven wouldn't be a bad play if he thinks a horse is going to win. I would be on Affable, but that's just based on my opinion of this race. So it really depends on what they like. And we're going to find out here shortly because they're off.
Yeah, and so Affable gets to the lead. That's a little bit surprising, I think. Lambeau is going to be stuck out very wide, so an unexpected leader, at least in my opinion. And then there goes Royal Ship along the inside, and as expected, Riley didn't pick a horse, and Steven went with the 6 horse or the 8 horse, excuse me, Extra Hope.
Yeah, this race really unfolded in a way I wouldn't have expected. So that who knows what's going to happen now. Affable getting the lead, that may make him a little extra hard to beat. Extra Hope, yeah, that was an interesting pit. But Michael was Affable. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's looking pretty good right now.
so the
Right
first quarter.
now,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Riley's definitely cheering for the 4 horse in here.
Absolutely, and gets through along the rail. We'll see if how good Affable is, as both horses are side by side. Just glancing at the leaderboard, a lot of long shots being picked by the first page, as you would expect, as they get ready to reach the top of the stretch. It looks like now the 4 inching away from Affable at the quarter pole.
Yeah, Affable still putting in a little bit of fight, but I don't see him. It's just now going to be whether he can hold on for second, which still wouldn't be a bad result for Michael. But it looks like Triple Tap is gonna nose out the 5. And did anybody have the 2
No,
horse?
nobody
No.
had him, and Riley Drexler's probably doing cartwheels in his living room if
Yes.
he's there, because it comes in basically chalk chalk, and as we thought, a lot of long shots are going to be picked by people, and a whole lot of nothing, if you will, for people on the first page as it comes 4-2 and Royal Ship. Just from a horse racing perspective, that was a nice win coming off the bench, and he's going to be a big time factor in the older handicap division again in 2022 out west for trainer Richard Mandela.
Yeah, that was exact.
But
Okay.
7-5
Yeah.
favorite is the 4 Royal Ship. I was told that somebody 23rd took the 4, which will just give maybe a little bit of track position, but no threat to the leaders so far at the top of the leaderboard with now 2 races to go. But 4-2 basically chalk chalk, and Riley Drexler the big winner, if you will, with that result coming in. And really not much is going to happen in terms of our top 15 in terms of the change in the leaderboard.
Yeah, but that Tim Yoler in 23rd, good example where, he was just trying to move up. He's right on that, cut line for cashing.
Hmm.
So he, even though he's not, that's not going to get him in position to win. It's going to move him past. If you look, that he's going to go up 4, 5, 6 slots on that above the cut line. So, some of the players might be. It kind of depends on what they're playing for. We might see some other players use that tact, kind of take a chalk horse just so they can move up the leaderboard and into either a more secure position to cash or, you know, take home a little bit more cash as they move up. So
I don't know. When you're talking 161,000 up top and you're in the first page of the leaderboard, is does he have bullets in the remaining 2 races at least?
yeah, yes, he had it says 2 remaining.
All
So
right. All right. Well, maybe I'll give him a pass for that. If he didn't have a horse for every race, I would not be
well,
on board with that strategy. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the way I would play. I'm
Right.
just saying you will have some players who are looking just to move up the leaderboard incrementally as opposed to trying to necessarily win the contest.
Right.
I did think that if you look at the plays on the leaderboard, they all made sense. I mean, Riley passing made a lot of sense, and playing the 5 or the 8 sort of made sense. So it didn't necessarily work out for everybody, but I mean, those were the kind of what you'd expect
Hmm.
given where they were and what made sense tactically. So I think given that we've got some sharp players and it'll get real interesting here in the last 2 races.
All right. Let's refresh the leaderboard, I guess, because I know Tim Yoler moved up a little bit. Yeah. So Tim is the handicapper with the best score that used Royal Ship and got a little bit of money and moves up to 17th. But still, Riley Drexler in the lead with 211.90. Stephen Meyer second, $204.90. Michael in third at 198.50. Peter Osella fourth, 194.80, and Turner West in fifth at 187.30. And Michael has 2 bullets remaining and is the only one of the top 5 that will be able to play the final 2 races in our contest, races 9 and 10. Everyone's going for the first prize of $161,212. Well, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll talk about the 9th race from Santa Anita, which is the penultimate race of this Players Championship, a maiden claiming event. We'll go over all the horses and contenders after this break. We are back. Two more races to go in the Players' Championship, a big money tournament on HorseTourneys.com. $451,780 in the prize pool, $161,000 for the first place winner. And during the break, Chris brought up a pretty good note. We were talking about Tim Yoler uh, playing the favorites, and he wasn't at the top of the leaderboard. But there's a game within a game, and there's day money for day one as well as day two, and the day money is pretty significant, over $11,000 for uh, each day winner, if you will. And Tim, with that victory with Royal Ship, he catapulted Richard Rosette, and Richard doesn't have any more bullets remaining, so that was a significant advantage for Tim to play a potential chalk horse like that, and he got the money, and now he's in the lead there, and he's in the top 20s in 17th place for the big money. So he's in play for a lot of stuff going to these final two races.
Yeah, and that was, he had I don't know, 4 to 5 shot that could end up paying, 5 figures or more for him if he can hold that spot in the day money, and who knows, maybe move up the leaderboard on the big board. So we don't. That was probably a pretty crafty play on his part, and it may pay off for him.
Yes, and so we go into this ninth race, and it's a big field. It's a maiden claiming race, maiden claiming for 20. 6.5 furlongs, and got a big field, got a favorite in Boisterly Irish, but unlike a mandatory contest where everyone's playing the same races, if you will, this is a different type of contest. It is an optional type contest. And not everyone can play the final two races. As you can see, our leader, Riley Drexler, uh, he's only got one pick remaining. And so does he just hold on or unless he really, really likes something. But I know, Chris, we talked about this at the end of day one. You really, especially at the end of the contest, I know vast majority of the players want to hold on. If they got one pick remaining, they want to hold on for that last race, because usually the last race is in a contest is has a decent field.
Yeah, and also usually you almost have to have the winner of that last race, because even if you're on top of the leaderboard, unless you have a big lead, everybody's going to be on a horse that gives them a chance to win. So almost any horse that comes in from extreme bomb to a short price is going to pass you up if you don't have it. So or if you don't have it, and so being in the lead and having that a live play is really important, and that's why the top two both are down to one pick. I'll be surprised if they play that pick in this race. Now they may, because they're just a horse they absolutely love, but I have a feeling they're going to hold on to that pick, which really makes it Michael's chance to pick up ground even with a short price horse on both of them. And so I think you'll see that will be the way they play it. We'll find out. And then the other people down below, are trying to put themselves in a position to have a really good chance to win on that final race. So most of them farther down the board in the top 10 all have plays for both of these races. So this is a real opportunity for those players to gain some ground and maybe pass up those top two.
Well, let's talk about a few of the contenders, as there's about 13 minutes to this ninth race. As I mentioned, the maiden claiming race, Fillies and Mares, going a sprint distance of 6.5 furlongs, and all 11 horses are running in this spot. And we do have, I think, a clear-cut favorite, the 6-horse Boisterly Irish for trainer Steve Miotti. Finished second in her debut, contested the pace, and held her position in the stretch. And currently on the board at 9-5, just like the morning line.
Yeah, it's sort of the obvious play in here. Let me see if I can see what the projected odds are on that horse right now. She's projected to go off at 4 to 5, which sort of makes sense to me. Second time out after a nice debut, and has that, the speed. So, kind of a logical play. It's going 6.5 this time. So and does look like there's some pace pressure right outside her. So I don't think she's a lock by any stretch, given that, this kind of race is hard to be be a lock and in this at a $20,000 main claimer. So I see this as one where again you might get some prices on the board, and if the 6 does win, it doesn't really hurt you, and if you can hit something in here, you can make a big move. So I'd expect to see a lot of players on something other than 6 horse in the contest.
Yeah, I agree. Speed wise, the 7 horse Mach 10 Hair on Fire. Uh, Third career start for Vladimir Serin. Didn't get off to a good start in the debut at Turf Paradise. And then last time out of Santa Anita had the rail, didn't get off to a great start. A lot of horses, when they draw the rail, don't break that great. Kind of rushed up and battled with the favorite for today's race, and then faded in the last 3/16 of a mile, but only got beat 4 lengths, less than 3 lengths behind what it's going to be the favorite in that 6 horse. And I think with a better post and a better start, there could be other speed horses, but I think this filly's got a shot. Got a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I usually would rather be on the outside than the inside. So that horse, I think, was at a disadvantage last time, and this time the roles are reversed. So I think you could reverse. That there's no reason why the 7 couldn't beat the 6. There's also a good chance that they both duel each other into submission. That extra half furlong could take its
Sure.
toll. So, that's probably the way I would play this, is to hope those 2 hook up and try to catch somebody at a bigger price that will come from out of it. Not necessarily way out of it, but just, sit off those 2.
Well, a couple closers that I think have got shots as well. The 8 and the 10. We'll talk about the 10. Dorita's Happy first. Uh, was closing decent. Finished behind the 6 last time out on March 20th, and finished ahead of Mach 10 Hair on Fire in that race. So all 3 of these fillies are very evenly matched. This filly's had plenty of chances, though. This is career start number 10, but it looks like she's going in the right direction at least. And off of her last race, certainly fits, and will be a little bit better price than the favorite, the 6 in this race.
Yeah, to me, this horse is sort of the kind of the obvious mid-price play. It did kind of get a bit of a setup last time, but this time they're going 6.5.
Right.
And this horse, that last race wasn't nearly as good as some of the races it ran at the end of last year, and it has a nice workout since then. So, to me, this horse has run the fastest race of any of them. It's just its recent races haven't been quite as good, but it does seem like it might be rounding back into form and could get another setup in here. So, let's see what the projected off odds are now with that one. 7-2, not a great price, but to me that might be the kind of the obvious alternative to the 2 horses that are likely to be mixing it up on the lead. And I could see some of the players near the top of the leaderboard maybe playing that 10 horse.
The 8 horse, Warren's Showbiz, is a filly that I had circled with Juan Hernandez aboard. Juan's been aboard for all 4 career starts. Will be aboard again today for trainer Craig Lewis. Last couple races, a rout of ground, and both races seem to get a pretty good pace to run at. And, ran okay, but I think fitness wise, certainly should be running on late off of those 2 route races. What's your opinion on the 8 Warren's Showbiz?
Yeah, it cuts back. It should be closing. It seems like the 10's much more likely than the 8, although you'll get a better price of the 8. But to me, the 10's sort of like the 8, but just a lot more likely when it looks like you're 5-1 right now. I could kind of see that, but I would probably rather go with the 10 than the 8. There's kind of similar horses. I think the 10's just much faster going into the race.
There's a filly in this race who last raced at Emerald Downs, and I'll probably see this filly later on in the spring and summer. It's the 9 horse Let It Rain, ran in a Washington bred Stakes race last time out, closed a bit of ground, but was a very, very fast pace, 44 and 4/5, and the final running time 119. Been in the money in her last all of her starts, but numbers wise doesn't seem to be on the same par as some of the other contenders in this race.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance on the show to congratulate you with your new gig at Emerald
Yes.
Downs. I mean, not too far off before you'll be calling races there.
Yes, May 15th, I believe. Sunday, May 15th is opening day.
Awesome. And so, Let It Rain, did hit the board in a stakes race at Emerald. So why not? Off the bench, Jeff Metz doesn't win a lot of races at Santa Anita, but this horse is not impossible, and this is probably a prep for a race at Emerald, just to get a race into the horse.
Yep.
But at a 20-1 is the projected odds right now. It's 11-1 on the board, which means it's a little bit live. This is the kind of bomber that I could see somebody playing. It's not impossible.
Yep. And Tyler Bay's aboard, and a big price as the horses are on the track for this ninth race. Got about 5 minutes to go. This is the penultimate race, one of my favorite words to say, just a fancy word for the second to last race in a contest or anything, whatever you're talking about. But it's a big, it might just be a maiden claiming race, but it's going to set the stage for our final contest race where it's all on the line. And this maiden claiming race, it's got a 3-2 favorite. The six. Let's talk about another filly that's cutting back in distance. We mentioned Warren Showbiz, but the one horse, Silent Beauty for Howie Zucker, didn't do very well last time out. I was just looking at the trouble line, not too much there. If she runs back to her race on February 11th, maybe she could be a contender, but she has the rail as well. So, uh, trip wise, she doesn't have a whole lot of early speeds. So she'll be far back early on. So she'll be one of those closers, just like Warren Showbiz and Dorita's Happy. Silent Beauty, a big price at 15-1.
Yeah, but 15-1, and to me, she's run some races that are about as fast as anything in here, and she'll be closing the rail. Probably not great if the horse, but in this kind of a field, there's not that much. The horse is next to it. That kind of inside four horses, there's not much there. So maybe this horse could still get a decent trip from that rail spot at a big price. I would take her, over most of the others that are going to be a really big price. So I don't see her as being an impossible play in here.
And there's some long shots. I didn't really like any of these fillies, but I guess we'll mention them. And if you have any positive notes to talk about them as well, you can say something about any of them or none of them if you want. Curlin to Billions, a $1,000 buy, a daughter of Curlin to Mischief for trainer Jerry Wallace II. Donna Flama for Hector Palma, who didn't do a darn thing in her debut, but she got bumped early on. Lassarock for Jeff Bondy, who's run a couple of clunkers back in Oklahoma. First star of the year. Trainer switch to Bondy, which might be interesting to some handicappers. And then Bell My Bell on the outside, putting the blinkers on after a dull effort at today's class level in that same race that the 6, 7, and 10 come out of. So of those four, maybe I could make a case for the 5, but I'm reaching a little bit because she's shown nothing in her races before. But sometimes a trainer switch can do a lot of good. But any of those long shots interest you at all?
Well, Donna Flama, who I
Okay.
think is how you pronounce that one, Donna Flama. It sounds good.
Yeah, go with it.
That one, the barn does pretty good with horses. First, second Steimers. That one did get bumped a little. Didn't do a lot of running, but I wouldn't be shocked. That one you just don't know. It's almost like a first-time starter. So
Yep.
that one I could kind of see taking a shot with in here because there's no killers to beat. Curlin to Billions would be tough. I mean, it is a first-timer, so, But like you said, $1,000 purchase that hasn't gotten to the races until it's a 5-year-old. It's kind of hard to play that horse, but you
Yeah.
wonder the fact that they're still trying to get it to the races at Santa Anita means
Yep.
maybe there's some talent there, and she's going to be a fully mature 5-year-old mare, right? So who knows? That one, there's a little bit. It could be a little layover kind of feel to that one. But probably it's just never going to win a race in its career. But the fact that it's in at Santa Anita as a 5-year-old that was purchased for $1,000 is a little bit interesting to me.
There was one other long shot I didn't mention, the 2-horse mix and match. The jockey, Keener Zonet, is a jockey that is Venezuelan, but riding down in South America, looking for his first North American win, I believe. The horse is dropping down in claiming price, but those races were against Calbreds. But I wanted to mention the 2-horse mix and match in that little jockey tidbit. So strategy wise, do you expect any of the players with just one bet remaining to play a horse in this race, or they all should probably wait for the final race?
Um, I think those that are farther down the leaderboard, this might be, if you only have one pick, this might be the time to take a shot,
Right.
because there
Contrarian
are
type. Yeah.
some, this is kind of the race where that can produce a price.
Right.
And maybe a lot of people are sitting on their pick. And if I'm near the top, where I'm in the top 2 or 3 and I only have one pick, I'm probably saving it. But if I'm a little farther down, might take a shot in here and hope you catch the winner and jump to the lead and hope nobody, chalks out at the end in the last race or something.
8-5 favorite, the 6 for Trader Steve Miotti, 4-1 on the 10 Dorita's Happy, and then 5-1 on Mach 10 Hair on Fire, as well as the 8 Warren Showbiz. Should be an interesting race, even though it's just a maiden claiming race. It's going to be crucial that the 7 breaks better than what she did in that last race on March 20th to potentially turn the tables on the favorite as they get ready to put the final filly into line, the outside the 11 Bell My Bell, and we'll be able to find out what the contest players are going to be doing for this 9th race. So it looks like they're just about all in line, and they are off. Not the best start in the world for the $1,000 buy, the 3 curl into billions, but it looks like the 9 Let It Rain, the Emerald Downs horse is going for the front end, but there's the favorite, the 6, getting the front end. And what did the contest players do?
Yeah, the 1 horse is surprisingly close. So, as we thought, Riley passed, but Steve Meyer put his last pick on the 9 horse from Emerald. Let It Rain. He's taking a shot. Wow, an aggressive play, going for it in here. And Michael's goes
on
with
the front end,
and he's on the lead. Yes.
So this is certainly interesting. This would be obviously be enough to put him into the lead, and it's got a little over a length lead. And the 6 is being used right now, and now
10
here comes
horses.
the 10. Yep.
Yeah,
wide.
Yeah, that was one we thought was the kind of logical closer, and he's got a lot of momentum going on the outside there. Anybody on the 10?
Yeah,
Justin
down to
Wonderlear.
Justin. Yep.
Justin. Yeah, and what did the 10 go off at? Oh, all the way. They really hit that horse late.
And here comes the 8.
A late run
from the second, the Craig Lewis horse.
Yeah, so that one set up for the closers, and they delivered the kind of the best. Those 2 kind of looked similar, with the 10 being the better of the 2 closers, and that's the way it ran.
So 10 and 8, and no one in the top 9. Some people didn't have any selection, but Justin Wonderler did have a pick and went with Dorita's Happy 5-1. So it was at 12, and probably a decent place price with the favorite not finishing in the top 2. Probably get a full, $5 or maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, but well, it's a big field. So that's about $18 approximately. And so math wise, it probably puts him into 6th place, I would guess. But that's a big jump up in prize money right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and Riley again, he's just swipes his forehead. He had to pass those 2 races, and that didn't really cost him anything.
Oh,
Stephen Meyer,
look how much the 10 got hit there. I didn't notice that
yeah,
till
that's what I was saying. They got
oh,
hammered late to five
hammered
to
late.
two.
I,
Yes,
when I say sometimes when people say hammered late, it goes down a couple clicks, but that was a big time a late hit. Probably the computer players knocking that one down. But Dorita's happy. So $7. The place pool probably get four and change for sure. At least I think so. So $11. So that changes things. So that'd be about 177, 178, which still might put him in sixth place. Um, and
that's a
Steve
big
Wolfson
move.
Sr. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm not, bemoaning it. Just in terms of the return, a little bit less with from 9-2 to 4-1 down to 5-2. But Dorita's happy, is making Justin very happy by moving up a few spots in the leaderboard. But our leader into the final race will be Riley Drexler, still there at $211.90. It has worked out for him with no big price horses. And there's a look at Dorita's happy for trainer Eric Kruljack and Drayden Van Dyke
Uh-oh,
for
there's an
board.
inquiry.
Oh,
Let's
but it
see.
looks like the third and the fourth place fillies.
Okay, all right, all right. So that won't affect us. So yeah, you got to admire Stephen Meyer taking a shot there. Going for it.
Yeah.
Very aggressive play with a long shot when he only needed $7 to get the lead. So he clearly thought that horse had a shot, and you got to hats off to him. The play by Michael Salakis wasn't bad. I think we were all surprised to see Silent Beauty on the lead. That wasn't what I would expected. She still
No.
ran pretty well. He had a thrill there for a minute, and it'll be interesting. Now we get to the last
Oh,
race.
yeah. I was just looking at the head on there,
Oh,
just for horse racing purposes, not for our contest, because we're talking about the third and fourth place fillies. But there was a decent bump. It wasn't even there. It was even a little bit later that they collided. So I can see why the stewards are looking at that, but just causes us to delay a little bit as the stewards sort this out. So there's one race remaining, and it's going to be attention, over the next half hour as the handicappers, if they haven't figured out what they want to do, sometimes it's just dictated by what the price is, and it's basically a simple math formula. You got to figure out what is going to get you there, and then you got to take a horse and go with it. And sometimes, a lot of times, if you're down the leaderboard, someone else is going to have it, and then it becomes trying to just hoping and praying that your horse is not being chosen by someone who's on top of you in the leaderboard. But Dorita's happy. Second choice at 5-2 is you're going to be your winner, even though the inquiry sign is up. They're taking a look at the third and fourth place fillies, Silent Beauty and Mix and Match, and right there is when I thought the horse on the outside came in on the rail horse. So I think that they'll seriously consider taking that filly down, but it doesn't matter for our
yeah, it makes
purposes.
right.
But
One thing I want to point out, though, the
yes,
fact that Steven made that play and now he's drawn, he has no picks remaining.
yep,
That's a really, really big development because he was only $7 behind.
yeah. So
And
Raleigh
and
Drexler is going nuts right now. He's probably going,
right, I mean that
yes,
was his best result because now he actually has, let's see, a $12, $13 lead. So what that means is, the top few favorites are protection for him.
yeah. The
He
one
doesn't have
horse is
to
out of
play
play.
those.
Yeah, yeah,
And he can
exactly.
play a horse at a price to block others where, he'll have like 3 horses on the board that he will win the contest for him. So
Yeah,
where before he probably wouldn't have had any, with if Steven. So Steven really did him a favor by using his last pick there because now he's in a much, much stronger position going into the final race. So that sort of changes things quite a bit in terms of what he's going to do with his last pick. And things have really unfolded in his favor even though he's been on the sidelines for these last couple races.
Yep. Sometimes just need things to break your way, and even though he didn't have any picks, things are breaking Riley's way. And that what they disqualified that one, didn't they? They flipped the top
Yes, they did.
third and the
They,
fourth. So if you're betting, I guess it matters. But for our purposes, like I mentioned, we're only talking about win and place money. But we had to kind of do a little bit of a rain delay and let the stewards sort that stuff out because for the on track and everyone betting across the country, it doesn't matter for the show, try, super, and everything else. But 10-8, the top two in this ninth race. And hopefully, very soon, they will make it official. Um, and we'll see how much Justin moves up the leaderboard. And thankfully, they've made it official. Dorita's happy, $7 and change. 720, 340, and Warren Showbiz at $6.20. And so we will update the
Justin,
leaderboard.
yeah, Justin moved up into 6th place with
Yeah,
that.
just like we
So
thought. At least
that
our
was big for him. Yeah.
Yep, but still a significant uh, distance behind our leader, Riley Drexler, $211.90 in front. Stephen Meyer second, but as we mentioned, does not have a pick for the final race. Michael Salakis is in third, and Peter Osella in fourth, and Turner West in fifth.
One
It's
other
time.
just thing,
Go ahead.
just one last note.
Yep.
Tim Yoler had the 8-horse, so he picked up some points and increased his lead on
Oh,
the
day two.
day 2 leaderboard. So he's had a pretty good run here these last couple races
And
without,
that
with only a one chalky winner and a second place. He's, he has a real good chance now to win, 11,000 plus
Yep,
on the day.
that's what I was going to mention. The subplot of the day money, day one, day two, its own separate contest, if you will, for the day money, and that's not nothing to sneeze about winning $11,000. Well, we're going to take our final time out, and we'll set the stage for the final race from Santa Anita, the final race in the Players Championship. It's going to be a maiden race going a mile on the turf. We'll be back in a few. One more race to go in the Players Championship, a 2-day contest where handicappers have picked 15 horses each day for a total of 30 plays over the course of those 2 days. $2 win in place bets. And the winner after this last race will take home over $161,000. During the break, Chris, I was just kind of taking a look at the leaderboard and got my calculator out and seeing what it takes for the players to potentially pass Riley Drexler. And right now Riley's at 211.90. Stephen Meyer does not have a play, so for our purposes, he's kind of like invisible, even though he's really hoping for the chalk to come in because that would mean he would get 64,485. So he's going to be a big time supporter of Barrister's Ride, that's for sure. But Michael Salakis is about $13, not about $13.40 behind Drexler. Peter Osella is $17.10 behind. Turner West is $24.60 behind. Justin Wunderler goes a little bit further back, 35.20 behind. Thomas Blaser, who was our day one leader, is about $40.10 behind, and Brett Weiner is $42.90 behind. That's all I did in terms of the math, just to give you an idea of what potentially these handicappers are going to have to do if they want to potentially win this contest.
Yeah, and it's actually even more complicated because there's opportunities to win a lot of money just by moving from, say, third place, which pays $32,000, to second place, which pays $64,000. That's a $30,000 bump. And if you are Michael Salakis and you think Barrister's Ride looks like a lock, you could get on an even money shot $30,000 return. And he's giving up the chance to win 160,000, which you don't get very often. But he has to decide. Is it worth getting 30,000 on an even money shot, or does he try to beat that one and go for the gusto and win it all? Same for even like Peter Osella, might be perfectly happy to move from fourth to second. So I'm not sure that would get him there. Let's see, $10 probably won't. He probably couldn't, but he could go from fourth to third, and again get a bump of $8,000 or $10,000. So it's there's a little bit of that going on among these players too. When you have like a clear-cut favorite like we have in this race, but if you're Riley, you're definitely. That's the only reason why anybody on this leaderboard will play the one. Certainly, if they want to win, there's no reason why anybody, including Riley, would play the one, because the one can't beat him, and nobody else can beat Riley with the one. So if they want to win, they're going to be on some other horse. But if they feel like that horse is really tough to beat, if you're someone like Michael, you've got to decide, am I happy with 60,000 instead of 30,000, or do I really want to go for 160,000? You'll have someone like Tom Blosser, who we know, his last race he went with a long shot. Yesterday he had power surge. He's going to go for it, right? We know he's going to be in a price, and probably some of the other players farther down the board will be picking other horses. But I think the one player would be really interesting to see who he selects is Michael Salakis, because he has a decision to make in terms of what his objectives are on the day.
Yep, I agree. Well, let's talk about a few of the fillies and mares in this race, and might as well start off with the one Barrister's Ride, 8-5. Expect that to go down a little bit. Second career start, had a little bit of trouble in that race in late March. The rail was out that day, kind of lacked room on the turn and got shuffled a bit at the top of the stretch, but really showed a lot of late energy, rallying for second, and she seems to be going in the right direction. I think is a deserving favorite. What did you? Yeah.
Yeah, that race was a winning effort. She had some trouble and still ran well. So she's clearly a logical favorite, gets a good post draw. But this is a big field of maidens. A lot of them have upside. A lot can happen in a turf race for a horse that has already shown it gets into trouble in its first 2 races. So, I wouldn't be too nervous. Too afraid to take a shot against this horse. And it's interesting that the trainer, Carla Gaines, actually has 3 horses in this race, and they all 3 ran against each other in their debut. And Barrister's Ride was not the betting favorite among those 3 on that day. So I think you need to look at those Carla Gaines horses as pretty live in here, making their second lifetime start, stretching out. Lots of upside there. And Lady Blackbird, the 4 horse, was actually shorter price than Barrister's Ride that day, and both the 2 and the 4 are taking some money. So those are ones that deserve a look, I think.
Yeah, let's take a look at the 4 Lady Blackbird for Carla Gaines. Debuted at 6 furlongs, didn't get off to the best start in the world. The second half of the race kind of ran evenly, now stretching out from a sprint to a route, and that's a pretty good category historically for trainer Carla Gaines. Hits at about 21% first time going a route of ground, which is much higher than her normal winning percentage. And uh, Lady Blackbird is one that seems to catch your fancy, Chris.
Yeah, definitely the fact that she was at a lower price than Barrister's Ride. She didn't have the best of trips. Gets Joe Bravo in here, and the fact that Carla Gaines is running all 3 of them in here tells me something as well. And the 2 horse had same. It can make exactly the same argument. Didn't get bet as much as the 4, but probably had a worse trip, and it certainly has room to improve. So to me, both of those horses are very live price plays in this race and alternatives to the favorite.
One I thought has a bit of a shot if she can break from the gate better than she did last time out was She's a Bit Sassy. Did go off as the favorite in that race that Barrister's Ride finished second. And the trouble line, 100% accurate. Hopped in the air at the start, then rushed up 3 wide. And the pace was pretty good in that race 47 and 2 for the half and a mile and an eighth is decent fractions, 111 and change for the 6 furlong time. You could see she has some ability. The race 2 starts back, she got to the front end, almost held on, and was some pretty fast fractions in that race as well. And so it's really going to be about the start. If you're gonna like She's a Bit Sassy, she's got to correct her mistake that she did in her last race, where she put herself at a big disadvantage.
Yeah, and the post position isn't the greatest, from the 8 post. That she has to overcome that outside post as well. But certainly there's ability there, and with the right trip, there's no reason why she couldn't win. Well, let's see what sort of price you're getting on her. I thought that she might take some money. She's 9-2. That's a little bit short for me on that horse, given that post, but not impossible. I wouldn't say the horse doesn't have a shot. Just I think a little bit of an underlay.
Okay. Couple of first time starters in this race. So we got one from the Neil Drysdale barn, one from the Tim Yakteen barn. Let's go with the 6 Avery Blue, the first to take a look at. Uh, Neil Drysdale is the trainer. Doesn't win with too many first time starters, but this dam of Avery Blue has produced 4 turf winners, and the workouts have been pretty good for it, especially for a Drysdale horse. Neil doesn't usually work them too fast in the mornings. So the fact that anytime I know they were on the training track and whatnot, but they seem to be faster, better than average for a Drysdale first time starter in terms of workouts, and does it seem to have a little bit of turf pedigree on the dam side. And currently on the board, I know we'll get some long shot players involved at 11-1.
Yeah, and the horse is well bred, and there's no monsters in here, and the horse is a 4-year-old, so she's a year older than the favorite. Has to pay a weight penalty for that, but she's a much more physically developed horse, even though she hasn't started yet. So I'm always these 4-year-old first-time starters in these maiden races. I think are always worth a look, and this horse is breeding, and the trainer, all indicate that it wouldn't be a shock to see this horse win.
The 10 big attraction, the other first time starter in this race for trainer Tim Yakteen, who does a decent enough with first time starters. and is a full sister to Big Score. If I did my pedigree uh, research correctly, Big Score won or had over $700,000 in prize money. Workout's not that fast, but you get Umberto Rispoli, one of the best, if not the best, turf jockey out on the West Coast with Flavian Pratt leaving. Uh, and so that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. The 10 big attraction at 7-1.
Yeah, the breeding, actually a foal to Big Talker and a half to Mucho Unusual is a really good horse. So the
Yep.
dams, really throws good runners, and crossed with this sire does really well. So, and does have a sharp gate work, a 48.6 gate work. So probably has some speed, and with the good rider, Rispoli maybe can overcome that outside post. So again, there's some things to like about that horse, and no reason why it couldn't win. It's a little bit shorter price. I think that might be because of the workout and the breeding. Although the breeding's good on Avery Blue as well. So I think both the firsters are kind of live in here. I typically don't like to play first timers routing on turf, just because, on a dirt sprint, if a horse has got talent and speed, it can just go to the front and win. But on the turf, it's a lot more to learn in terms of how to run, and you need to learn how to settle, and you need to learn how to maneuver through traffic and all kinds of things. So for that reason, I'm a little more inclined to like maybe the Carla Gaines second timers better than the firsters. But all four of those horses, I think, are potential, alternatives to that favorite.
And one other one I guess we'll mention, the 9 Ella Calamira Moo or something like that. I don't know. I didn't watch the race replay to get that pronunciation, but she's run a couple decent races, but she's had the most chances of anyone in the field. She's 0 for 15, but 3 of her last 5 races, she's finished in the money, um, but really not getting a whole lot of support at 15-1.
Yeah, she's the kind I couldn't play. She's had lots
Yeah,
of chances. She's got an outside post. She could clunk up for a piece, but if I'm
right.
looking for a winner, I'd have a hard time going in that direction.
Tend to agree with you. So 2 minutes to post. This is the final race of the 2-day contest, and most of 9 of the top 10 have got a bullet remaining for this race. The only one that doesn't is Stephen Meyer, who will be rooting on the one-horse Barrister's Ride, I'm sure. You mentioned
Yes.
the dilemma that Michael Salakis is going to have if he just loves the one Barrister's Ride. He could get ahead of Stephen Meyer. Now, the only other, I guess, problem with that would be if, let's say that the favorite wins, and you get, if it goes down to 7-5, 6-5, you're saying it might go down to even money. You might get $8, and then right behind you, if Peter Osella were to play a big long shot, comes in second. I know that that's you're talking about 2 different distinct potential outcomes, but that would be the only way that kind of would throw a monkey wrench into uh, that theory that you said that Michael might take the favorite just to get up into second in a $32,000 bump or whatever it was.
Yeah,
But
actually,
yeah,
a more likely scenario that has to concern him is that Barrister's Ride could win, but the leader could have the horse that runs second and beat him that way. And it doesn't have to be a bomber. It could be a 5-1 shot. All he needs is a little bit of a place price to pad his lead and still stay ahead. So that's a more likely outcome that he does have to consider. He actually have the winner and still not pass up the leader. So there's a lot of different ways it could happen, and it kind of depends on what he wants to do. So I mean, he could even have the winner, like a 5-1 shot, and if um, I I somehow drew a blank on our contest leader.
Riley,
Riley, if Riley has second place horse, he might still hold on.
that's
So
always true. That's another
uh,
possibility as well.
that's why that being in the lead is such an advantage. I just want to mention one other horse The 3 Mensa on tap, to me, that's
Okay.
the bomber.
Oh,
That second off a layoff that has some potential could get a good trip from that post. That might be the one who could, really flip the leaderboard if it comes in, would be the 3. So if I'm looking for a bomber down the board, that would be who I'd go with.
all right. Loading up here for the final contest race. There goes the 9. There's Chris's Mensa on tap. Big price. I think it's 45 to 1. Final race of the Players Championship. Someone after this race will be $161,000 richer. Who will it be? Well, we got to run this 10th race to find out. Good luck to all the contest players as the 11 Bellio's music is the last to load up. And then shortly thereafter, we'll refresh the leaderboard and see what everyone is going with in this final contest race. Pretty good
Pretty good
start.
break. Yeah.
So
The 1 got a
Riley
good break.
Riley went with the 8 horse. She's a bit sassy. If you want to refresh it,
Yes.
yes. Michael went with the 10 horse Big Attraction, the first time starter for Yakteen. Lady Blackbird, the 4 for Peter Osella, the Carla Gaines horse. Avery Blue, Turner West seems to have a live shot with that one, that first time starter. But it's the 5 Ghostum who's on the front end in this race. Led last time out at a couple calls. We'll try and go to gate to a wire in front. And here, big price horse was in second, but now there's the favorite Barrister's Ride getting in might be getting in a little bit of trouble here. Along
Has
the
had a
rail in
sweet
fourth.
trip. Had a sweet trip up into this point, though. The horse has had a really nice trip, the favorite. So
Yep.
I would say that's the horse that's probably going to win, and Riley will be thrilled if
And
he.
yeah, and Stephen Meyer will be thrilled as well if the 1 were to win, because that will help
Yes.
him immensely as well. So it's the 5 Ghostum on top. The chalk Barrister's Ride is on the outside. He's got every
There's some
chance
with a
to go
chance
by.
here, though. There's some horses. The 9's got a little bit left, and the 6 is coming late here. We've
Yep.
got Turner West on that 6 horse, but he's flattening out.
Yep.
Wow, the 5 horse has not quit, though.
5s and 1s. 1s and
5s and
5s.
1s.
1s is going to get there.
And that means Riley has won the contest.
Yeah, and even if the 5 were to win, the only person who had the 5, scrolling down, is George Cruz Aedo. I've butchered the name. I'm sorry. It was in 29th used Ghostum, but Ghostum on the board was 12 to 1, but he was way down in 29th place. But I do think the 1 got up for the win here, but it's a photo. Yeah, got a good bob there. So
yeah, it
fairly.
got a sweet trip for sure.
Yeah.
That was like a perfect trip. A good ride.
There it is, right there. So
Yeah.
1-5, and that's gonna mean that Riley's gonna get the W.
It's really interesting that we had a couple players, Mike Delade and Joe Johnson, down 11th and 12th, played the 1 horse. And I'm trying to figure out why they did that. I guess it gives them a bump up of a couple $1,000. So they just decided they were going to pack it in and go for a few thousand more. That was a little bit surprising because they kind of had a shot there. They could have taken a bigger shot. So, but everybody else, as expected, went with somebody that had a play, went with, horses with better prices.
Yeah, and that's just the math of the situation with for working the favor of Riley Drexler, who had that horse, even though he picked the 8 horse. She's a bit sassy. Who was the logical, I guess, second or third
Right.
horse in the market. You take that one. That way, you got the top 2 favorites working for you. And lo and behold, Barrister's Ride, the favorite, decent price, 8 to 5. I was surprised at the
Yeah.
final price of Barrister's Ride, because I thought she had all sorts of trouble in her previous race and did get a decent trip
Got a
to
perfect trip. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a horse that just learned, I guess, from those first two, because the horse had gotten into lots of trouble in his first starts. Just got the dream run in here, and it needed it because it only won by a nose.
What
Um,
what about the day two money? I was
well, we'll have to look at the update
probably
on that one.
probably Joe is probably happy as well.
Yeah, Riley, he really kind of backed into that. He had to sit out a couple races and didn't pick the winner in the last. Somehow he didn't have anything in the last three races and never lost his position. So that doesn't typically happen. He's pretty fortunate in that regard, but a lot of times it takes a little bit of luck, to win these kind of contests for sure.
Yeah, Tim had a $13 or $11.20 lead, $10, $11.20 lead,
And
and
it's official now, so he's gonna hold on.
yeah,
So
no matter what,
he ended
yeah,
up cashing in on some chalky picks that really paid off for him.
yeah.
He played that uh, in hindsight, what he did worked out really well for him. And he played that one, paid attention to the day money as well as the main leaderboard, and it paid dividends for him. And he actually was everything went well for him because he actually had the 6 horse as his play, and all the top contenders that had selections all played that horse as well. So he had them all blocked, even if the horse had come in. So he pretty much had it locked up no matter what the result was there at the end.
Yes. So Barrister's Ride, the favorite wins the last race. Mike Delotti and Joe Johnson moved up to seventh and eighth, respectively. And that's a pretty good jump there. 14,000, 12,000 for eighth. So I
And
guess it
they
worked out
doubled their
for them.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they doubled their money. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to decide if you're willing to just take a double your money versus going for it all. And in this case, it paid off for them, and that they went from 6,000 to 12,000 or somewhere in that ballpark.
Do you know Riley Drexler at all, Chris? Are you familiar
I
with?
I do not know, other than McKay said that he's from Chicago, and
Well,
there's a
there you
lot
go.
of good players from Chicago.
You got that
Contest.
right. You got that right. If I was still from Chicago, I'd be down in the thousandth because all the big time contest players. Who knew? Who knew I was
He
amongst so many great contest players growing up? Well,
okay. So
we were
that
told that Riley is at work, so we won't be able to interview him, but he's going to be quite happy at work. I don't think anything's going to
yeah.
tick him off at all. Yeah, you could
I
probably say, "Hey, you're going to stay over for 3 hours." He'd be like, "All right, great, no problem at all. $161,000 is going to be coming to me whenever the payouts go out." But congratulations to Riley, Chris. I guess any final thoughts about this Players Championship?
Well, and we didn't have the excitement we had on day one in terms
Right.
of the races and the way it unfolded, but we saw, just another way these can play out, and how with some crafty plays, if you're paying attention to the day leaderboard and the contest leaderboard, someone like Tim Yoler managed to turn this into a pretty profitable day for him. And Riley Drexler just showed you, when it's your day, it's your day. Even if you don't hit the winner in the last three races, you can still win. Even if you're he didn't have he had a big lead or anything. He had a short lead, but somehow he held on. So congratulations to him. He had to get into that position over 60 races, and he held on. So kudos to him and Steve Meyer and Michael Salakis and all the other top players. We might want to just check the tourney triple leaderboard and see who it looks like is going to be on top there based on the finishes here. Let me see if I can pull that up and compare that to.
And while you're doing so, Chris, I'll mention that the final leg of the tourney triple, the third leg, is the Spa and Surf Showdown, which is Saratoga and Del Mar, and that will be sometime in August. I know the dates haven't been finalized as of yet, but we're still few months away, as we're still in spring, and that's of course a summer contest. But Saratoga Del Mar, obviously the very popular meets, uh, and that will be the third leg of the Tourney Triple, the Spa and Surf Showdown on HorseTourneys.com. Were you able to find
Yeah,
There we
yeah, I
go.
found it, and
There you
it looks like Michael Salakis is clearly going to be our leader. He finished 10th in the first contest and third in this contest, so two top 10 finishes for him, one top five, and he'll clearly be in the lead, in the points lead, going to that third contest. And there's some pretty good money, prize money. I think a BC spot and some other prizes there. So that's a little bit of a consolation for him on the
Yeah,
day.
and also we were told Giuseppe Petrella goes by Joe Petrella now, and Petrella was sixth in the
Six.
locale, and he ended up 15th
So
in
he's
the
probably
play.
sitting second then.
Yeah, so he's right there in a great spot as well. If he could pull off, you don't necessarily have to win the thing. It's
Yep.
nice if you do, then you'll cash all over the place. But if he has a decent performance, then they have a chance to potentially, uh, you know, cash in the final leg as well as get those prizes as well. So I think that's going to do it, Chris. Good
Yeah, it
fun
was
working
a
with you again over these
yeah, I
few
enjoyed it.
days.
And yeah, and I look forward to listening to you call races at Emerald Downs in May, starting in May.
Yes. Yes, May 15th will be opening day at Emerald Downs. For those of you who don't know, I my normal day job is a track announcer, was in Indiana, and now going out to Washington State at that great racetrack out at Emerald Downs. But I think that's going to do it. So we got to thank Eric, McKay, Ryan, Matt, anyone else.
Yeah, especially Ryan and Matt. Great job in the background. Like I said yesterday, you're like referees or umpires. If we don't notice you, you've done a great job, and everything was seamless. So kudos to you. Thanks for making it easy on us.
Yeah, I always like it as an offensive lineman in NFL. As long as you don't get those holding calls on you, that's what you want when you're behind the scenes, and have everything go smoothly, and it did over those 2 days. And we thank everyone for helping us out to put out this webcast. And like I said, the next webcast will be the Spa and Surf Showdown in August. So for Chris Larmey, this is Bill Downs. Congratulations to our man, Riley Drexler, $161,000 richer winner of the Players Championship. Goodbye, everyone.